Breaking news. U.S. President Donald Trump, alongside Alberta Premier Danielle Smith, has signed a historic pact, confirming Alberta as America's 51st state. This bombshell move comes after months of fiery speculation, and tonight it's official. Canada's oil heartland is crossing the border. Tonight's top story: the unthinkable has just become reality. After decades of jokes, rumors, and wishful thinking, Alberta has broken from Canada and officially signed a deal with the United States of America. And Donald J. Trump, together with Alberta's Premier Danielle Smith, have declared that Alberta will become the 51st state of the Union. This is history in motion, a political earthquake that will shake Canada, the United States, and the entire world order. And at a joint press conference held in Calgary this morning, President Trump and Premier Smith stood shoulder to shoulder. Behind them, the Stars and Stripes and Alberta's blue flag waved together. Smith signed what is being called the Alberta Integration Accord. Trump, smiling broadly, declared, "We are welcoming Alberta, the richest, toughest, and most hard-working state America has ever had. Canada's loss is America's gain." The accord promises Alberta immediate statehood status by January of next year, with federal representation, 2 senators, and 10 congressional seats. Alberta's oil reserves, farmland, and booming cities will now fall under American jurisdiction. Prime Minister Mark Carney, visibly shaken, addressed Canadians in Ottawa. "This is an illegal agreement. Alberta is part of Canada and always will be. This so-called deal has no legal basis and violates our Constitution." But Carney's words rang hollow, because the shocking truth is that Ottawa never saw this coming. For years, Albertans complained about being ignored, overtaxed, overregulated, and sidelined by Eastern elites. Carbon taxes, energy restrictions, and political arrogance fueled resentment. The push for independence grew quietly, then loudly. And now, with Trump back in power, Alberta found its opening. Canadians across the country are divided. Some say Alberta betrayed Confederation. Others say Ottawa pushed Alberta away. Global shockwaves, the international reaction was immediate. President Putin congratulated Trump, sarcastically remarking that America just annexed Alberta faster than we annexed Crimea. China. Beijing expressed grave concern that North America's energy map has been rewritten overnight. European Union, EU leaders warned of instability, with one diplomat calling it the biggest Western fracture since Brexit. United Nations, emergency meetings have been called to address the legitimacy of Alberta's secession. For Alberta, this isn't betrayal. It's liberation. At a rally in Edmonton, Smith declared, "For too long, Alberta has been punished for being rich in oil, punished for working hard, punished for not bowing to Ottawa's agenda. No more. We are free, we are proud, and we are American." Crowds waved both Alberta and U.S. flags, some even burning the Canadian maple leaf. But not everyone is celebrating. Indigenous leaders in Alberta condemned the move, saying treaties with Canada have been trampled. Families are torn. What happens to pensions, healthcare, passports? Overnight, millions of Albertans woke up as dual citizens of 2 countries in crisis. In Washington, reactions are mixed. Republicans hailed the move as a masterstroke, calling Trump the greatest expansionist since Jefferson's Louisiana Purchase. They argue Alberta will turbocharge American energy independence, agriculture, and defense. Democrats, however, blasted the deal. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer called it reckless political theater that destabilizes 2 democracies, presides. And Biden, visibly furious, accused Trump of undermining Canada, America's closest ally. Biden vowed to reverse this madness if Democrats regain power. The American people themselves. Polls show deep division. Some see Alberta as a blessing, others fear it's a Pandora's box. If Alberta can secede, what's next? Texas? California? Quebec? Military implications. Let's talk hard power. With Alberta now part of the U.S., America's northern border is radically altered. Military analysts warn this is not just politics, it's geopolitics. NORAD Command, now headquartered partly in Colorado, will gain massive expansion across Alberta's skies. Energy security. Alberta's oil sands give the U.S. the largest combined reserves in the world, dwarfing Saudi Arabia. Border chaos. Canada now faces a 1,600-kilometer land border with the United States, patrolled by American troops. Already, U.S. National Guard units are being flown into Alberta cities to secure integration and prevent unrest. The human story. Behind the politics, millions of lives are changing. College students are asking, will their degrees still count in Canada or America? Families split between provinces are panicking about passports, healthcare, and retirement savings. Immigrants in Alberta, who moved under Canadian law, suddenly find themselves under U.S. immigration law overnight. One woman in Calgary, tears in her eyes, told reporters, "I came to Canada for universal health care. Now I'm in America, and I don't even know what insurance I'll get." Another man waving an American flag shouted, "Finally, freedom from Trudeau's tyranny." The oil question. At the heart of this entire story is energy. Alberta's oil sands are among the largest reserves on Earth. Ottawa's environmental policies strangled development, but Washington sees gold. Trump promised, "We will unleash Alberta oil. Drill, baby, drill." No more Trudeau telling Alberta to stay in the ground. America will power the world with Alberta's energy. Oil markets exploded. Crude prices dropped as traders anticipated a flood out of supply. But climate activists across North America declared it a climate betrayal of epic proportions. Greta Thunberg tweeted simply, "Canada just lost. The planet just lost." The spiritual war. And here's where the tone shifts, because this is bigger than politics or oil. This is a battle of ideas, a spiritual war, as some pastors in Alberta described it. In churches across the province, pastors declared that Alberta was breaking free from globalist control and woke ideology pushed by Ottawa. They framed the move as a divine correction, a chance for Alberta to join a more God-fearing nation. Others warned of division, hatred, and chaos, saying Alberta's soul itself is at stake. The hostage analogy. Commentators compared Alberta's situation to a hostage breaking free. For decades, Alberta felt trapped, paying billions in equalization payments, while Ottawa blocked pipelines, mocked its culture, and taxed its industries. Trump's deal, they argue, was the rescue mission. But rescue for some looks like theft for others, because if Alberta is America's gain, it is also Canada's loss of wealth, pride, and sovereignty. The domino effect. And now, the question on everyone's lips, who's next? In Saskatchewan, thousands marched today chanting, "We want out, too." In Quebec, separatists seized the moment to demand independence. Again. In British Columbia, protesters held signs reading, "Better U.S. than Alberta gone." Could this be the unraveling of Canada itself? Could one province's departure trigger the collapse of Confederation? Closing emotional appeal. As the sun set tonight over Alberta, two flags waved in the same sky, the maple leaf and the stars and stripes. But tomorrow, only one may remain. This is more than a deal. This is more than politics. This is history written in real time, a seismic shift in North American identity. Is Alberta the 51st state? Yes, on paper. But in hearts, homes, and history books, the debate has only just begun. Because once a province breaks free, nothing will ever be the same again. Tonight, Alberta. The shockwaves from Alberta's decision are not limited to North America. Across Europe, commentators are comparing the deal to Brexit, calling it Alberexit. Financial markets are jittery. The Canadian dollar plunged to record lows against the US dollar within hours of the announcement. Meanwhile, Wall Street celebrated, oil stocks soared, and American energy giants began drafting billion-dollar plans to expand operations in the oil sands. Economists warn, however, that this energy jackpot comes with political instability that could disrupt trade, alliances, and even NATO itself. Inside Alberta, daily life is already shifting. Provincial offices are being converted into state integration centers. where residents line up for new American documentation. Schools are rushing to adapt. Next week, students in Edmonton and Calgary will start reciting the Pledge of Allegiance alongside O Canada, though teachers admit no one is sure which anthem to play first. Local police now work side by side with U.S. Marshals, patrolling streets to prevent clashes between jubilant pro-statehood crowds and furious Canadian loyalists. Meanwhile in Ottawa, a constitutional crisis deepens. Opposition parties are demanding Trudeau step down, accusing him of losing a province without firing a shot. Angry Canadians in Ontario and Quebec staged protests outside Parliament, chanting, "Bring Alberta back." Yet others argue the country is better off without Alberta, claiming its politics, oil, and culture never truly fit with Canada's progressive identity. In short, Canada itself is divided, not just between East and West, but between those who want to fight for Alberta and those ready to let it go. South of the border, the symbolism of Alberta joining the Union has electrified Trump's base. At rallies in Texas and Florida, supporters waved signs reading 51 and done, and energy secured. Forever. Conservative commentators hailed the deal as the ultimate rebuke to liberal globalism, arguing that Trump has achieved what no U.S. president dared since 1959, when Hawaii became the 50th state. To them, Alberta represents not just territory, but a victory in the cultural and ideological war that has consumed the West. But not every American is celebrating. Farmers in Montana and North Dakota fear that Alberta's massive grain output will undercut their markets. Healthcare activists warn that millions of new citizens could strain U.S. systems already buckling under pressure. And then there's the military draft question. Would young Albertans be required to serve in the U.S. Armed Forces? Parents in Calgary and Red Deer are demanding clarity, while Pentagon officials stay silent. The uncertainty is fueling anxiety across the prairies. In the digital sphere, the memes are relentless. One viral video showed Albertans swapping maple syrup bottles for Budweiser cans, while another depicted a Mountie tearing off his uniform to reveal an American football jersey underneath. Yet beyond the humor, there's a darker undertone. Canadian nationalists are flooding forums with calls for boycotts, protests, and even civil disobedience. Online, the battle for Alberta's soul is raging as fiercely as in the streets.